Hello, my name is Isabel Cordova, and my presentation is on the ethical implications of the automation of labor in our society. So my thesis question is it ethical for innovation of technology to progress to the point where jobs are taken from people who need them most by automated machinery? So I just want to start off with the definition of automation, and yourdictionary.com defines automation as the use of self-regulating machinery, electronic equipment, etc. to make a manufacturing system or process operate at greater speed and with little or no human intervention. So I think it's important that we discuss what automation is in the first place in order to have an ethical discussion about what it would mean for the workforce. So we all know that innovation in the technological field moves incredibly fast. Technologies from even 10 years ago today are obsolete. As technology becomes more and more advanced, we see more robots in the workforce, replacing everything from traditionally low-skilled jobs to even white-collar positions. I'm asking, will technological advancements take jobs and create sort of a humans need not apply workforce? Should we halt innovation to protect jobs, or should we allow progress to march on at any cost for a more efficient society, but one that moves away from the traditional labor force? Automation is already all around us, and right now it seems that autonomous vehicles are on everyone's minds lately. Uber, Lyft, and Tesla are testing software that would allow cars to drive themselves, eliminating the need for a driver. This would also eliminate the job positions as Uber, Lyft, and traditional taxi cab drivers in favor for a more efficient and safer way of transportation. Many large corporations already use autonomous robots in their factories as a cheaper and more efficient workforce than expensive and rather error-prone human employees. Low-paying entry-level positions in the food industry and grocery stores are not safe either. Especially with the fight for the minimum wage to be raised to $15 an hour, employers are seeing automation as a more and more feasible choice. So the pros to automation argue that automation should take low-skilled entry-level jobs. Economically, it would be cheaper for employers to seek out a technological workforce. Computers don't require vacation days or call in sick, and can do tedious tasks without error or complaint, unlike their human counterparts. Automation would not only remove the need for low-skilled positions as cashiers, but also take over dangerous jobs that no human should ever have to risk their safety for, like factory jobs or hazardous waste management or oil rigs. Automation would create new opportunities for the people who have been taking such a dangerous occupation, and thus even save lives. New, safer, and higher-paying professions would be created for these people. When we think of automation, we think of giant, custom-built, expensive, efficient, but really dumb robots blind to the world and their own work. They are a scary kind of automation, but they haven't taken over the world yet because they're only cost-effective in very narrow situations. They are the old kind of automation, but this is a new kind. Meet Baxter. Unlike these things, which require skilled operators and technicians and millions of dollars, Baxter has vision and can learn what you want him to do by watching you do it. And he costs less than the average annual salary of a human worker. Unlike his older brothers, he isn't pre-programmed to do one specific job. He can do whatever work is within the reach of his arms. Baxter is what might be thought of as a general-purpose robot, and general purpose is a big deal, because that means he could do a wide variety of jobs. He doesn't have to be specialized and pre-programmed to only do one. So here is a visualization of data put out by the manufacturers of Baxter. Here we see that Baxter is much cheaper than the traditional industrial robot at only around $22,000, and he is also more efficient in setup time, and he could also replace millions of jobs in the US that are potentially hazardous to humans. A big push for automation is in the transportation industry. According to the United States Department of Transportation, over 30,000 people die from automobile accidents in the US every year. Self-driving cars are more cost-effective than traditional human-operated cars, And in addition to saving lives, the Center for Disease Control estimates that deadly crashes in 2005 alone led to $40 billion in medical and work loss costs. The opposition to automation argues that automation should not take jobs from the marketplace. People seeking low-skilled or entry-level positions are frequently the ones who need them most. This, coupled with the already low-paying salary of these positions, would wreak havoc on the lower working class. Many would not have the means of feeding their families should their job be taken by robots. And following the loss of so many jobs, the spike in unemployment after the workforce has been dominated by automation would be detrimental to the nation as a whole. This side asks questions such as, where would the influx of newly jobless citizens go? Who is saying that that technology would not progress to the point where higher level jobs would be taken? This graph, using data put out by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, shows the percent of employment in the U.S. Notice how service jobs are at an all-time high, around 70%. Most of these jobs could be easily taken over by robots, creating mass unemployment. According to this map of the United States, truck driver is the most popular profession, dominating the workforce in over 30 states. If technologies of self-driving cars progress, there would be no need for human-driven trucks. Where would all these truck drivers go? If self-driving cars are truly more safe and more efficient, the profession of truck driver could soon be non-existent. This is a graph by The Economist, displaying the probability that robots will take over certain professions. As you can see, telemarketers, accountants and auditors, and retail salespersons are at high risk for being replaced by robots. Automation is not just a problem in developed countries either. According to this visualization of data from Citigroup and the World Bank, developing nations would be impacted the most by automation of labor. Automation would have huge detrimental impacts on countries who are not as economically developed as, say, the United States or the UK. A staggering 85% of jobs in Ethiopia could be replaced by automation. What would all these people do? How would they repair their economy after so many would be left jobless? As for ethical framework, I believe that the automation of labor is a very teleological dilemma, focusing on what the effect of automation of labor would be on modern society. Would automation make a technological utopia, a productive, efficient society unbound by human error, or instead will automation strip humans of their basic rights, becoming essentially enslaved by the forces that which they have created? Another ethical system that could be applied is utilitarianism. If automation proved to be the most efficient cure for the needs of our society at the cost of a few losing their jobs, thus creating the most good for the most people, a utilitarian would argue that the positives of automation would outweigh the negatives in the long run. A deontological standpoint would offer an important view regarding the right to productive work. A deontological ethicist would argue that above all, the right and duty of meaningful work is supreme to any of the benefits created by automation. As the rapid innovation and development of better technology is a fairly new ethical dilemma, not many major religions have issued statements on their direct standpoints. The United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, or USCCB, has stated that the most effective way to build a just economy is to make decent work at decent wages available for all those capable of working. When the economy fails to generate sufficient jobs, there is a moral obligation to protect the life and dignity of unemployed and underemployed workers and their families. While not directly pertaining to the issue of automation, the Catholic Church's statement appears to be an advocacy of defending the right of meaningful employment, offering a deontological view of the issue. At the Feast of St. Joseph the Worker and World Labor Day, Pope Francis declared that work is fundamental to the dignity of a person. Work, to use as an image, anoints us with dignity, fills us with dignity, and makes us similar to God, who has worked and still works, and who always acts. This proclamation, given by the most powerful and influential figurehead of the Catholic Church, clearly advocates that work is a key contributor to the dignity of a person, which, above all, makes man similar to God. If taken away, such a right to labor would strip a human of their dignity. Concluding my research of my ethical dilemma, I find myself with more questions than what I originally came into my topic with. Even after reading multiple articles and academic papers offering various diverse views of technological innovation and automation of labor, I am unable to form a concrete standpoint on whether it is or isn't ethical for technology to take jobs from the workforce. I do not believe technology is inherently good or evil. Instead, I view technology as a key. It is a key that can be used to open the gates of heaven, but it is also a key that can open the gates of hell. The key is not by nature good or bad. Instead, the key is only a reflection of what we do with it. Is the key of any use? I believe the power to do something makes it useful. We have the power to dictate the future with the key, but it all depends on how we choose to use it. Unfortunately, I do not feel qualified to make such a judgment to answer my thesis. Is it ethical for innovation of technology to progress to the point where jobs are taken from people who need them most? At the beginning of my research, I was sure I'd be able to find an answer to that question. Instead, I feel as if my standpoint has been even more muddied by all sides of the argument. To make an ultimate statement on the issue feels like ignoring half the ethical arguments and evidence for or against automation. In another sense, I believe it is too soon to know for sure what the future holds for automation. Never before in human history has technological advancements have the potential to be so pivotal in the shaping our core way of life. Here on my source slide, I would just like to thank you for listening to my presentation. I was really hoping I could do it in person and have a class discussion on whether it is or isn't ethical for automation to take over labor, but I guess this will just have to do. But anyway, thank you so much.